Hey, Alex. So what's the secret around hashtags in Instagram? Because I've heard kind of two different methodologies, keep them general or keep them specific. So because I have like get you visible, is it hashtag get you visible? Or is it hashtag follow it through? Or is it hashtag follow the stellar life? Or is it love my dog? Like, so that's where, like, depending on what you're using it for, how do you define what the hashtags are and how many should you be using in a post?
Great question. So everybody heard the question? I'm going to go a layer deeper on your question. Go ahead.
And then the next question would be, like, once you get your hashtags, we have to have, you know, these beautiful photos and things like that. But and then underneath your picture, you don't want to do like a long Facebook post because you want to keep it simple to get engagement, right? But also, how do you get the leads from, like, how do you maximize the algorithm on Instagram to get your followers?
Yeah.
It's the mystery of the unknown.
So the first question she asked is, what type of hashtags should you use? And this is like this is a broader marketing question than that, because it relates to understanding your customers' behavior and their use intent for the platform that they're on. And this is a step, I mentioned it briefly at the dinner thing before JVology started, which is that as marketers, as business owners, your number one job is to understand the problem faced by your customer better than, or at the very least equal to them understanding it. And we get so tied up as business owners and marketers and brand advocates that we are often leaping into the expression of what's important to us instead of remaining vigilant about what's important and what the story is that our customer is expressing. So let me give you an example. I could come up here and be like, hey, what's up, guys? My name's Alexander. I've got this really awesome business. It does marketing for people, and you should definitely buy it. And you would all be like, great, I don't fucking care, right? Like, okay, cool. Everybody here has something to sell. If I were to come up here and demonstrate to you that I understood your problem better than you do, you would feel understood and then more likely to buy, particularly if I don't try to sell you something. And that is true on every platform and every modality. So to be more direct with you, let's take Instagram as an example. Two components. One, how does the platform work? So what's Instagram's intent? And two, how do people use the platform? So Instagram, in very basic terms, uses hashtags to allow its users to browse their content. So a hashtag on Instagram is a mechanism by which Instagram can place your image in a newsfeed that's been searched for or found by the users. So your demographic may be entrepreneurs, but here's the interesting thing about entrepreneurs. Every entrepreneur that I've ever met has a whole bunch of interests that have nothing to do with entrepreneurialism. So I did a Facebook Live one day, and I was like, let's look up how many people in Canada have an interest and expressed interest in Tony Robbins. Anybody have a guess what the Facebook advertising audience tool will deliver to you in terms of audience size for Tony Robbins interested people in Canada? That's huge. There's only 30 million in Canada. It's 1 million people. So 1 million people through Facebook have expressed an interest in Tony Robbins. Then I said, let's just see, because I could be a marketer and I could say, I'm doing an event, Tony Robbins is coming to speak. And how many of you have seen Facebook ads for some Tony Robbins affiliated event? And what do they use? They use Tony Robbins as the anchor for that event, yes? Have you ever seen them approach it in any other way except Tony's coming, you should come too, right? Well, that's about the simplest fucking form of Facebook advertising you can do. Go find people who like Tony, take Tony's face, put Tony's face in front of people who like Tony, and cross your fingers and hope they give you money. The interesting thing is that there's tons of people in Canada who also love to ski. How many of you well, let me ask you. Who can guess how many of the 1 million people who like Tony Robbins also have an expressed interest in skiing of any kind? 3,000. 3,000 of a million? 500,000?
Say like 200.
400, 200, 600. So 60% of the audience who has an expressed interest in Tony Robbins has a direct interest overlap with skiing. Now let me ask you this question. How many of you think that people go onto Instagram and search for hashtag Tony Robbins? Approximately 0, I would imagine, right? Except for the ones actively researching their attendance to his event. How many believe that interested skiers might browse Instagram for skiing? Skiing equipment, skiing experiences, skiing videos, a whole lot more than are the people looking at Tony Robbins. And so here's the interesting thing. Those overlap interests are where all of the money is to you as an advertiser and a storyteller in your marketing. Because if I were to run an event featuring Tony Robbins, I would be literally architecting my event. I would be engineering skiing into my event explicitly so that I could penetrate the 60% overlap of skiers who like Tony Robbins, instead of being like everyone else who depends on the brand strength of Tony Robbins alone. How many of you understand what I just said there? So that psychology applies to Instagram. So the answer I would give you is use hashtags and post content. So like we're here in this room doing JVology. So the simplest possible thing you could do here is hashtag JVology. But imagine you met someone who has amazing hair and you took a photo with them. Fine, go ahead, use hashtag JVology, but nobody's on Instagram looking up hashtag JVology except for people who are already in this room, right, at this time. But if you did hashtag JVology, hashtag amazing hair, hashtag stylish haircut, hashtag beautiful hair, like I'm going down a rabbit hole. The point is now all of a sudden you've got all the women and all of the men, I guess, who are browsing hairstyle photos, a good segment of which are probably also business owners. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so all of a sudden now you might be giving up 70, like, okay, fine, it's not a Puritan audience. Only 20% of people who care about beautiful hair are also interested in business. But the way I look at it is 20% of people who are actually browsing for hair are also interested in business. And that's a much higher slice than 0% of a small market who's expressed interest in JVology. And guess what they're for sure not browsing? Hashtag measurable genius. Nobody gives a fuck about measurable genius. Zero, thank you, Warren. One, Warren, approximately how many hours a week do you spend on Instagram? Okay. So are you tracking me here? Nobody gives a fuck about you. They care about approximately 2 things: their hobbies and their problems. Their hobbies and their problems. And just so I can do a sanity check, how many of you here, if you didn't have a necessity to grow your business, would be interested in anything but your business, your hobbies, or your problems? Anybody have something I've missed here? Family counts as a hobby, by the way. It's something you love and enjoy that's not... There's lots of people who have a family who don't love their family. So for those few people who have a family and like their family is a hobby. I'm just saying, so we're all categorically on the same page, right? So as marketers, I would be making it my life's fucking mission to understand the problems my customers are facing better than they do. And I would be tapping into the slices of my market, which are their hobbies and interests, right? And here's the thing. You each have a hierarchy of values of things that are important and meaningful to you. If you don't like skiing and your customers like skiing, put that category at the bottom of your list. If you love fitness and exercise and some of your customers love fitness and exercise, put that at the top of your list. Because here's another interesting sort of formula that for the people outside of the room, I think they should feel bad about missing. This is called the innovation adoption cycle. It applies directly to any market you're facing. Until you face a market, it's completely irrelevant. This is just a concept, but it's relevant to each of you because each of you solves a specific problem in a specific market. Okay, so relative to you, this is you looking at the face of your adoption cycle. I can break this cycle approximately into quarters, and it looks like 16%, 34%, 34%, and 16% of the market. Some of you have probably seen this on Simon Sinek's Start With Why talk. We can break this front segment into a smaller category of 2.5% and 13.5%. These categories are given approximate names: innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. Here's the interesting thing. There's a known gap that happens here. This is a gap. It's a gap because 16% of the market, the 16% of the market closest to you buys based on what you believe. If they believe what you believe, which has nothing the fuck to do with your business, 0% to do with your business, music, right? If they believe what you believe, they will buy literally into your belief. Them getting out their credit card and giving it to you is built on the belief alone that what you stand for, they stand for. That what you see as a problem, they see as a problem. That what you want for change in the world, they want for change in the world. Okay? For most of us, we've been told to do all kinds of ridiculous bullshit, like build a marketing ascension sequence. Start with a $7 product or a $47 product, and eventually you'll make enough money to sell the big ticket or high ticket closing item, right? You've been told that you need to clearly communicate products and benefits and features and all this stuff. You need to package your thing. You need to do all this stuff to get access to the market. The market being the majority, okay? But here's the interesting thing. For most of us, there's more money in this 16% than you could ever possibly spend. These people will endure the greatest challenge. They will put up with the least amount of packaging. They will invest in you at a premium rate because they believe in what you're building. In fact, they want to help you build it. Does that make sense? How many of you have had a customer and they're like, I believe in you. I'm here because of you, Alex. I'm here because of what you said. I'm here because you seem like you've got what I want, or you've got a connection to something that matters to me. And so through thick and thin, they'll stand by you. These people are fucking dicks. Okay? They're cheap. They want it to be perfect. If it's not clearly packaged, if you don't have the exact offer, and they'll bid you to zero because the competitors play in this space. And they won't buy without social proof. They won't buy without a referral. They literally will not buy unless their friend tells them Android or iPhone is better. How many of you understand? You are the innovator and early adopter to some of your friends, are you not? They literally come to you. You're like, you're my person. Alex, you're the tech guy I know. What should I buy? Right?
Alex, can you overlay the revenue curve there too? That'd be interesting to see.
Revenue curve?
Revenue curve, yeah. High at the beginning and then it...
Yeah. So revenues will look like this, approximately. Don't take this as some mathematical sine equation. It's just a metaphor. But here's the point. These people will buy based on believing what you believe. What does that mean? You like skiing. I like skiing. I fucking love it. Let's work together. You like wine. I like wine. Let's do business together. Right? You want to help people grow. I love helping people grow. Let's work together. You love working in a foreign country to help kids in need. I love working in a foreign country with kids in need. You love helping little girls find their expression, have power, step into that power, have confidence in the world, and not, go out into the internet and give their bodies away for attention. I want that. I'm investing in you instead of this. This is what makes you unique if you and your competitors were all exactly the same. Right? So when you're doing any form of marketing, selecting hashtags, producing content for social media, nobody gives a fuck how to set up a Facebook pixel. How many of you understand that? You all might think you're interested because you're at a business conference and you've been told you should try to learn shit while you're here. You're thinking, I should take this lesson away and I should go do what Alex said. He set a Facebook pixel, so I'm going to go do the Facebook business manager thing. What did he do? I took a picture of his chart, but he draws like a fucking child, so I don't really understand it. Right? And then you're going to get home and you're going to be like, I don't want to do this. How many of you understand that? You don't want to. You just have to. So here's the thing. If I do a Facebook post on how to do a business manager and set up your Facebook pixel, I'm going to help the 3% of you who are quietly suffering in your basement at 11:30 p.m. because you finally got your kids to sleep and you can hardly keep your eyes open and you're trying to do the right thing as a business owner to make your shit happen. You understand that? But if I produce a video that's compelling and stands on the shoulders of concepts that are entertaining to you, that are inside your hobbies and your beliefs, that are meaningful to you in some way, that you'll actually take a stand for in life, you'll step away from your business and browsing Facebook. You'll stop on my video and watch 22 minutes that I interrupted you with because you're like, wow, this is inspiring to me. This is interesting to me. I enjoyed this. It was entertaining. In fact, if you were one of the $2 billion that went to the Avengers in the last 3 months, you will literally take time out of your life to go watch a movie and give them billions of dollars. But for some reason, when we parachute back into our businesses, you're thinking, I gotta be this super boring fucking person who just teaches people how-to videos because somebody told me to produce content, and I'm trying to convince the early majority who are already super cheap how to do the shit that I do when they don't even want to do it. Makes no sense. So you need to connect into the problems your customers are facing. Demonstrate to them you understand their problems, but through the lens of what's meaningful and important to them. Does that make sense? You need to connect to that actual storytelling value that every single person in here has, and then make a difference to them in a way where they just are like, okay, I get it. I believe what you believe. I see you can solve my problem, take my money. That can happen.